Here we are at the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. If we go and expand Entra ID and then we go into Enterprise Apps, within the Enterprise app, under Security, we are going to click on Consent and Permissions. And then we get into the consent and permissions settings. We're going to be looking at the user consent settings, the admin consent settings, and the permissions classifications. So user consent settings control when end users and group owners are allowed to grant consent to applications and agent identities, and when they will be required to request administrator review and approval. Allowing users to grant apps and agent identities access to data helps them acquire useful applications and be productive, but can represent a risk in some situations if it's not monitored and controlled carefully. User consent for applications. There are three choices here. Here you configure whether users are allowed to consent for applications to access your organization's data. If you want more information on this, you can click on the Microsoft Learn link and just go and read this document, configure how users consent to application. So a lot of information about the prerequisites and the step-by-step guidance and even more documentation. So this is a great resource if you are going to be working on this. The first option is the do not allow user consent. In this case, an administrators will be required, right, um, for all apps and agent identities. So that's the first thing. The second option is allowed user consent for apps from verified publishers for selected permissions. So all users can consent for permissions classified as low impact for apps from verified publishers or apps registered in this organization. And the again, if you need more help, you can click on this information here to get, although this nothing there. But if you then go to the third option, if you choose this is let Microsoft manage your consent settings, and this is the recommended. It's important to keep this in mind for exam purposes. So automatically update your organizations to Microsoft current user consent guidelines. And again, you can click on learn more to go to that documentations. But here you could also enable user consent for popular mail clients, for example, if you don't want to go to admin consent. So users can consent to popular applications for specific mail permissions and that kind of stuff. And again, you can click here to get more information about that as well. The admin consent piece, and again, if you are here, you don't want to, I believe that was our settings. But when you get there, if you haven't saved, it will ask you. The admin consent settings, first of all, this is the default. Users can request admin consent to apps that they are unable to consent to. It says no. And actually, this is the most companies, this is the option that they choose. Many companies, I would say, if you again need more information, you can click on this little bubble and this will give you information. Then once that I enable this, that now I can go ahead and I could have reviewers as well. So if you want to add review for admin consent replies, then you can choose users, groups, or roles who would do that. Okay. One option is selected users will receive email notifications for request, and that is set to yes. And then the other one is um, selected users will receive requester expiration reminders, and by default it's 30 days. You can either decrease or increase that if you wanted to. Okay, so that's the admin consent. Nothing complicated here. When it comes to all right, I don't want to make any change for now. Um, so let me go back into, so let's go now into permissions. Classified permissions. Use permissions classification in consent policies to identify the set of permissions that users will or are allowed to consent to. And again, you can click on this. And this is divided into low for low risk applications, medium, and high. And the recommended is that define high risk permissions. Only delegated permissions that don't require admin consent are supported in this case. And so again, then if you click on any of these, there is a whole bunch of API permissions here. And again, so we have Microsoft APIs, and then you have APIs that my organization uses, for example, depending on what is it that you need to. A popular one is Microsoft Graph. So if you want to do that, and there are tons of these that you can configure. We're not going to go into the details of this, but basically, you know, this is where you would come if you wanted to configure that. And basically, that's it. This is what where you come to consent permissions for either users or administrator, or even permissions classification. So if you want to look at permission, what the agents and applications have permission to, and the level of permission, and what kind of consent they have, this is a critical place to come and look at that. So thank you. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in my next episode.